You say you want wealth, but you have ignored the source. You speak of success, but you do not open the book where power begins. You chase techniques, attend seminars, collect quotes, but you have overlooked the truth that built the minds of every great man I ever studied. You have walked past the one place where eternal law is recorded without error. You have looked everywhere for a secret that was always directly before you, a verse, one verse. Short in words, vast in power, hidden not because it is lost, but because men no longer look where the truth still lives. It is not found in the philosophies of the drifting masses. It is not spoken by the loud voices of modern noise. It is written in the old book, the only book that holds the blueprint of dominion. And what I am about to tell you, they do not want you to see. For the man who sees it becomes ungovernable by fear, unshaken by failure, untouched by lack. He becomes mentally sovereign, spiritually directed, materially unstoppable. There is a verse in Scripture so powerful, so precise, so eternal, that if understood, truly understood, it could rebuild your fortune, renew your mind, and free your soul from every lie of mediocrity that ever touched you. I will not give you that verse yet, because if I handed it to you as one more quote among many, you would do what most men do, nod, admire, and forget. But if you listen, if you follow every word of this speech, you will not just read the verse, you will become it. When I walked with Carnegie, when I studied the minds of Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, and Schwab, I came to see that the most successful men were spiritual men, not in dress, not in ceremony, but in principle. Their minds were governed by invisible law. Their actions were born of a belief that they were not puppets of fate, but sons of law, masters of themselves. And behind every one of them, whether they could name it or not, was this verse. They obeyed it in practice, even if they never recited it aloud, and that is why they rose. I am not here to comfort you. I am here to reveal what the world conceals. I am here to point your eyes back to the truth that formed the foundation of every great life, and to tell you that you are not exempt. If your life is in chaos, it is because you have violated law. If your finances are lacking, it is because your thoughts are disordered. If your heart is heavy, your days filled with fear, it is because you have wandered from the word where order, peace, and dominion were written in stone. But the good news is this: the word has not left you. The law has not changed. The door has not shut. What built empires can still build you. What shaped kings can still shape you. Stay until the very end, and you will be handed not just a line of Scripture, but the operating system of wealth, peace, purpose, and power. Before we continue, say these words aloud, not softly, not lazily, but as a declaration. Truth is eternal. I build on law. My success is rooted in spiritual order. Let these words sharpen your mind. Let them call your soul into alignment. For the truth you are about to hear is not suggestion. It is structure. It is law. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That is the verse they never wanted you to see. Not because it is hidden, but because if you ever believed it, truly believed it, you would become free. Free from fear, free from excuses, free from dependence on anything except the command center of your own thought. This verse is not merely poetic. It is the blueprint of man's dominion. It tells you plainly, you are not shaped by what happens to you. You are shaped by the thoughts you allow to dwell within you, especially those you repeat, especially those you feel, especially those you entertain in silence. You may appear to the world as a poor man, but if you think prosperity, you are already rich. You may hold no title, but if you think dominion, you carry the spirit of leadership. Everything you are right now, every dollar you hold, every opportunity you possess, every emotion that governs your day, was first born in your thought. You are walking through a reality that your mind permitted, a world built by belief or broken by neglect. Every law of success I have ever taught begins here. Desire begins as thought. Faith begins as thought. Persistence begins as thought. Decision begins as thought. You cannot act until you first think. You cannot command until you first believe. The verse does not say as a man feels. It does not say as a man hopes. It says thinketh. That is where the foundation lies, not in emotion, not in chance, not in vague ambition, but in repeated intentional thought held long enough to define the man himself. Abraham Lincoln thought liberty. He read it in his youth. He imagined it through obscurity. He meditated on it through defeat. And when he finally spoke it, it changed a nation. Henry Ford thought motion. Before the Model T, before the assembly line, before the name meant anything, he held a picture of a world where every man could move freely. He was laughed at, opposed, and ridiculed. But because he kept the thought, the world eventually yielded. What you are is not your job, not your balance, not your past. What you are is what you think habitually. A thought held once will pass, but a thought held daily becomes a belief, and a belief held long enough becomes a self-fulfilling law. Do you rise every morning thinking of your fortune, or do you rehearse your failures? Do you think like a man who will be obeyed by money or chased by it? Your subconscious mind obeys every command without question. It cannot reject your dominant thoughts. It accepts what is repeated and emotionalized. And once it accepts, it begins working through unseen forces to make it real. A man may say he wants to be rich, but if he thinks constantly of bills, of failure, of loss, then he has not planted wealth. He has planted fear, and the harvest will match the seed without fail. Say this aloud. I become what I think. I plant my future in the thoughts I choose today. From this day forward, watch your thoughts like a banker watches his vault. Let no seed of failure take root. Let no fear grow long enough to bear fruit. You are not bound to your circumstances. You are shaped by your thoughts, and they belong to you alone. Thought alone is not enough. A thought unaccompanied by belief is vapor. It rises and vanishes. But a thought saturated with faith, that is fire, that is creation. That is how the invisible becomes visible. An idea becomes empire. You may think success, but if you do not believe the thought, if you do not wrap it in conviction and emotional heat, it will never take form. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But what is the heart? It is not the casual mind. It is not passing interest. It is the seat of belief, the emotionalized subconscious where thoughts are no longer visitors. They are residents. Thought opens the gate. Faith gives the command. Faith is the force that tells the subconscious, this is not a wish, this is law, this is not someday, this is mine. Charles Schwab was not born into power, but he believed in his power before the world did. He saw himself at the helm of industry while still sweeping floors. His tone, his walk, his speech carried the vibration of leadership, and the world, which bends to belief, responded. Carnegie entrusted him with leadership not because of age or resume, but because his belief in himself was contagious. That is how faith creates authority. Edison believed in electric light before the science caught up. He failed thousands of times, not because his ideas were weak, but because his faith never cracked. He held the result in his mind long enough for the conditions to surrender. Faith held longer than fear becomes reality. If your belief shakes, your results scatter. But if you believe like Schwab, like Edison, like Ford, your world must match what you carry inside. Speak your faith before you see results. If you wait for evidence, you are not operating in faith. You are reacting to circumstance. The rich do not wait for proof. They create it through belief. Say this now. I believe the truth I speak. My faith gives power to my thoughts. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. These are not soft words. They are law, unchanging, non-negotiable, eternal. Every thought is a seed. Every sentence you speak, every emotion you repeat, every image you entertain is a seed dropped into the soil of your future. The universe does not forget what you plant. Fear planted grows fear. Doubt planted grows delay. Boldness planted grows opportunity. Repetition multiplies it. Rockefeller did not build Standard Oil by accident. He planted value and received value. He planted scale and received empire. He planted stability and received legacy. His mind was organized farmland, and his harvest matched the care of his cultivation. Most men sow without knowing. They toss seeds carelessly in every direction. A little envy here, a little fear there, a little laziness when no one is watching. Then they cry out when the weeds of poverty overtake their lives. You are harvesting today what you planted yesterday. If you do not like the fruit, change the seed. Audit every belief you hold, every sentence you repeat, every excuse you protect. You must no longer say, I cannot afford that. You must no longer say, that is not possible for someone like me. These are curses you speak over your own harvest. Plant only what you want multiplied. Think only what you want repeated. Speak only what you want returned. Say this aloud. I sow wealth daily. My harvest is guaranteed because I plant with intention. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. No man receives wealth before he becomes the kind of man who can hold it. Even if riches arrive early, they vanish, because the man still holding the identity of lack will sabotage what does not match his inner frame. This is why lottery winners lose their fortunes. Riches are not attracted to desperation. They are attracted to congruence. They come to the man whose thoughts, words, rituals, and attitude match the life he says he desires. You must become before you receive. You must walk in the identity of the man you are becoming before he ever appears in your bank account or your reputation. Edwin Barnes entered the mind of Edison long before he entered his business. He was not a man of credentials, but he saw himself as equal to the opportunity he desired. He did not hope. He declared the partnership in his heart and walked forward with that decision written on his spirit. He swept floors, but in his identity he stood at the helm of enterprise, and eventually reality caught up with his belief. The question is never when will success come to me. The question is when will I become the man who no longer needs to ask. Say this now. I walk in the identity of success. My thoughts match the man I am becoming. Imagination is the bridge between the spiritual and the material, between the unseen and the seen. The world was not made by hands. It was made by imagination. The hands only followed the vision. Carnegie did not hold steel before he imagined a nation built on it. He saw bridges, rails, and cities so vividly that he felt responsible to bring them into existence. The rail did not come before the image. The wealth did not come before the vision. Poor men also use imagination, but they use it against themselves. They picture the bills arriving. They see the rejection coming. They imagine the business failing. And imagination, being neutral, gives them exactly what they rehearse. You cannot escape your imagination. You can only direct it. You are either building with it or being buried by it. Each morning and night, close your eyes and see your goal is already completed. Walk into the room, feel it, hear it, see the balance. Experience the result in full emotion. Walk through the outcome mentally. Rehearse your actions. Replay your past victories. Say this now. I imagine only what I command. My mind is the instrument of creation. Fear is the only enemy of divine law. It is the only voice that can interrupt the power of right thinking. The word says clearly, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. If fear was not given by God, it was planted by the world. It is not your nature. It is not your inheritance. It is the only thing separating you from the life already promised to you by law. Fear always comes in disguise. It wears the mask of wisdom. It poses as caution. It imitates planning. But it is always delay in disguise. Most men do not serve truth. They serve fear, with more repetition and more obedience than they ever give to their goals. You can either serve fear or serve your calling. The mind cannot hold two masters. Fear dies when decision enters. Movement silences the noise. The man who is locked onto his definite chief aim cannot be shaken by passing voices. Say this aloud. I reject fear. I walk in law. My thoughts carry no permission for doubt. Repetition is the hand that sculpts the soul. One thought is not enough. One decision, one affirmation, one inspired moment. That is not transformation. The subconscious mind changes only through sustained instruction, and the language it obeys is repetition. Not logic, not emotion, not inspiration, repetition. The man who repeats wins. Speak your definite chief aim every morning before you check the world. At midday, return to it. At night, speak truth before sleep, because the subconscious works through the night. Feed it desire wrapped in belief, and it begins building while you rest. Do not go to sleep repeating the problems of the day. End every night as a builder, not a beggar. Say this now: my mind obeys what I repeat. I master success by repeating law. In the beginning was the Word. All creation begins in word. You are not shaped by accident or fate. You are shaped by the word you obey. You become not what you want, not what you admire, but what you obey. Most men fail not from lack of ability, but from obedience to the wrong word. They hear the whisper, "You are not ready," and they stop. They hear, "This is too much for you," and they bow. And so they become what that voice declared, not because it was true, but because they believed it. Speak only what you desire. Refuse to repeat weakness. Refuse to agree with smallness. When the old voices return, say aloud, "That is not my word. That is not my truth. That is not my law." Your word must be royal, for the man who speaks like a king becomes one. Return now to the verse that began all things. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your job is not to chase results. Your job is to command the thought. Your job is to discipline the word. Your job is to submit to truth until truth rewrites your identity. Say this now: I obey truth. I become what I command. As I think in my heart, so am I. You have now seen what few ever understand. It was never many truths. It was always one law, one pattern, one eternal structure. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not might be, not hopes to be, so is he. Identity is not formed by accident. It is chosen through thought, reinforced through repetition, and sealed through belief. From this moment forward, speak only what aligns. Think only what builds. Walk only in the direction of the voice that made you. You are no longer casual with your mind. You are no longer loose with your language. You are a man under command, and the command is truth. I build by law. I rise by truth. As I think, so I am. As I believe, so it is. Let these words become your covenant. Let them mark the end of fear. Let them be your defense against every inferior thought that ever told you to play small. You are now the guardian of your gate, the builder of your temple, the architect of your wealth. And as you think in your heart, so are you. Now begin.